Hi, and welcome to Westferry Times. Really glad you could join us today. We're going to be diving into something quite heavy, but incredibly important to talk about: suicide rates here in the UK. We want to look at the trends, what's driving them, and crucially, talk about help and about hope. And we're very fortunate to have Dr. James Walker with us. He's a mental health specialist focusing on suicide prevention for, well, over 10 years now. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a vital conversation, as you say.
Absolutely. So, to maybe get a handle on this, let's start with the data. The Office for National Statistics. What are the latest figures telling us?
Well, the most recent data we have for 2023 shows just over 5,000 suicides registered across England, Wales, and Scotland.
5,000. It's a significant number on its own. How does that break down day to day?
Tragically, it works out to around 13 or 14 people dying by suicide every single day in the UK.
13 or 14 families affected every single day.
Yes, it is. And, we consistently see the highest rates in men aged sort of 45 to 49. But what's also concerning is a noticeable rise among younger groups, too.
That rise in younger people feels particularly worrying. Is there a definite upward trend overall?
Well, there's always some fluctuation year to year, naturally. But yes, since about 2018, there has been a slight upward trend overall. And you have to factor in things like the pandemic, of course, social isolation, job losses, the huge strain on the NHS. These likely contributed.
Right. Major events ripple through in ways we're maybe still understanding.
Definitely. It shows how societal shifts impact mental health directly.
So it's not a static problem. It's a crisis, but one that often feels invisible.
Exactly. A silent crisis happening all around us.
You mentioned men aged 45, 49 having the highest rates. Let's dig into that a bit. Why are men seemingly more vulnerable?
It's incredibly complex. A lot ties back to social expectations, traditional ideas of masculinity, the whole man-up culture.
Suppressing emotions, not wanting to seem weak.
Precisely. It creates this huge barrier to actually saying, I'm not okay, or I need help.
That internal pressure must be immense.
It really can be. And statistically, men also tend to use methods which are sadly more likely to be fatal. Combine that with a tendency to delay seeking help, perhaps until things feel absolutely desperate. It's a dangerous mix.
It makes you wonder, is it a gender issue as much as a mental health one? Or are they just impossible to separate?
I think they're completely intertwined. The cultural silence around men feeling vulnerable just reinforces stigma. Great campaigns like Movember, Call-Em, they're doing fantastic work chipping away at this.
Yeah, definitely starting conversations.
But there's still such a long way to go to really shift those deep-seated norms.
And when you hear that statistic, suicide being the biggest killer of men under 35, that just stops you in your tracks.
It should. It's a national wake-up call, isn't it?
Yeah.
It underlines how urgently we need better support, tailored support, accessible support for men.
So beyond mental illness diagnoses and these kind of gendered pressures, what else is feeding into this? What are the other factors at play?
Oh, there are so many intersecting issues. Things like economic hardship, losing a job, debt, instability. That puts huge strain on people. Then there's relationship breakdown, housing problems, substance misuse, often as a way to cope with pain, and social isolation, too. Really profound loneliness for some.
And these things rarely happen in isolation, do they? It's often one thing leading to another.
Exactly. It's often a cascade. You lose your job, maybe get into debt. That causes friction at home. You feel isolated, maybe start drinking more. These stressors, they compound each other. They build up, making the situation feel inescapable.
And then trying to get help, the system itself can be part of the problem sometimes.
Unfortunately, yes. GPs are often stretched incredibly thin. Waiting lists for specialist mental health services can be, well, dauntingly long. By the time someone gets seen, they might already be at a very critical point. Sometimes, tragically, it's just too late for effective intervention.
Which really highlights that prevention can't just be about crisis lines, important as they are.
Absolutely. They are a crucial safety net, no question.
Yeah.
But we also need to build a society that's more supportive before people reach crisis point. That means tackling those underlying issues: poverty, isolation, access to support.
I imagine in your work you've heard so many individual stories behind these statistics.
Far, far too many. One young man always stays with me. He's 29, came into A&E after an attempt, and outwardly, he seemed fine. Educated, funny, kind. Nobody around him really knew the depth of his struggle.
That hidden struggle. It's so common, isn't it?
It really is. He said something.
Yeah.
He just said, I wanted the noise in my head to stop. just raw psychological pain.
God, that's heartbreaking. What made the difference for him? How did he survive?
Connection, simple human connection. A friend had noticed he'd gone quiet, withdrawn, and this friend didn't just, send a quick text. He kept checking in, went round to his house and just stayed with him,
Hmm.
talked, listened until proper help arrived. That friend, honestly, quite literally saved his life just by showing up and staying present.
It shows the incredible power of just reaching out, doesn't it? Truly listening.
Absolutely. Most people thinking about suicide don't actually want to die. They want the pain to end. And sometimes just breaking that silence, feeling heard for even a moment, that can be the turning point. It really can.
So let's pivot towards prevention then. What is working? What strategies are making a difference?
Well, there are positive things happening. Things like mental health programs in schools starting early, reducing stigma. That's key. Men's support groups are really valuable too, creating those safe spaces to talk. And of course, crisis helplines like Samaritans, their number 116-123 is free, confidential, 204/7. That immediate support is vital. Plus, training for GPs to help them spot warning signs earlier. That's making inroads.
Are there other, maybe less obvious things that help?
Yes, actually. Things called means restriction. So putting barriers on bridges, changing packaging for medications to make impulsive overdoses harder. These practical steps do save lives. And then there's the whole complex area of social media.
Ah, yes. Such a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Completely. It can be a lifeline, a source of community for some, but it can also be incredibly toxic cyberbullying, harmful content. We're seeing some potentially useful things like AI trying to flag worrying posts, but honestly, we need much more regulation and just more compassion online generally.
So for anyone listening feeling perhaps a bit helpless, what can they do? What's the takeaway for us as individuals?
I think the biggest thing is check in on people, your friends, family, colleagues,
Mm.
especially ones who always seem strong or like they've got it all together. And don't just ask, yeah, okay. If you're worried, maybe ask twice. How are you really doing?
Ask twice. I like that.
Yeah. And then be prepared to actually listen without judging, without trying to fix it immediately. Just
Yeah.
listen,
Mm.
be patient. You genuinely never know the power you have just by showing up for someone.
That's incredibly important advice. Thank you so much for sharing all your insight and, well, your compassion today. It's been invaluable.
Thank you for having me. It's been a really important discussion to have.
And for everyone listening, if this deep dive has brought anything up for you, or if you're worried about someone, please know help is there. You can call Samaritans anytime, day or night. The number is 116-123. Again, that's 116-123. It's free. It's confidential. Please reach out. We know this was a tough listen today, but silence is definitely more dangerous. So let's talk. Let's listen. Let's care. We'll put links to Samaritans, other support services, and resources in the show notes. This has been Westferry Times. I'm Emily. Stay safe, and please take care of each other.